All right, continuing on the IEB matric results, let's bring in Professor Ramodungoane Tabane from the Psychology of Education Department at Unisa. Prof, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Just, your advice to those pupils, whether it be IEB results today or the government results that come out tomorrow, who probably didn't make it and are probably thinking of harming themselves. What's your advice to them?
Yeah, that's very dire. Indeed. Look, an activity happened, and this activity was the writing of matric in 2022. So now it's an activity, we all prepared for it, and the results can only be in two. Either you have succeeded or you have not succeeded. And this is where the preparation should have been as you grow up from tender age, that you cannot always win everything. Yet when we do get to lose, or we do get not to get the results that are positive, or the ones that we want, we need to have been taught on how to deal with disappointments. It's an activity, it has passed, it's not a definition of who you are. We need to sit with our children. We need to sit with our learners as teachers. We need to sit with our clients as psychologists, as social workers, to talk to the preparation of an alternative and going forward.
Yeah, but also the parents, some parents are, very strict, and they have their own stresses. For instance, they don't have time to support their children throughout the course of the year because they have to work to actually make the money, to put food on the table, etc. And they expect that their children will pass even without their support throughout the year. How would you advise those parents and how they take it if their children either didn't perform so well or didn't pass?
First and foremost, their children's performance is not a reflection totally about them. And it's not a reflection of the badness or the poorness or the inadequacy of the child. It's an activity that either way, as I indicated, can go either way. So parents must get the strength from themselves and say that this was an activity that my child had to take and had to face. And this is how the dice has rolled, and this is how my child has performed. It's not at all about me as a parent who wanted to live my dreams that I have failed through my child. It was not about them. It was about a particular child, and this particular child has, in this instance, unfortunately, for one reason or the other, and this is where we need to go and look at the results. Where did they fare? How did they fare, and where did they lose it? And you might find that it's 1 or 2, 3 where they need to tweak and fix. It's not about the parents. When they talk, they need to take it in, they're adults, and say, how do I motivate this child to realize that you might have fallen by 1 or 2 subjects, but you know what? You had 6 or 7 subjects to write, and these were the positives. So how do we fix them? So it's not at all about the parents. Yes, you are quite correct. They intend, in some instances, to make it seem as if it was about them, because as family members, we tend to compete with our uncles, children, and aunts, and all that, and who knows what we were saying during the festives around the table in terms of which child is going to perform the best. It's not about them. It is about this activity that this child had to undertake, and I need now to say, this is how the results are. How do I motivate my child to go forward?
And what kind of activities or psychological, practices do you need to do for your child as a parent if, for instance, they have to repeat grade 12? We all know that teenagers can be very mean. Those that were in grade 11, if your child was in matric last year, now your child comes back to join them in the same classroom this year, they can be very mean. And the teachers can also, because they are seeing this pupil come back, have some words, to that pupil just because they didn't make it last year. How do you prepare that kind of child who has to go back and face the pupils that they were senior to and join those pupils this year?
Yeah, difficult as it might be, when that happens, we always need to indicate to them that life it's like this. You will trip one activity or the next activity. However, it is about standing up. It is about how you fix your wrongs, how you fix your miscalculations and going forward. There will be adversities. There will be adversaries when you go back to repeat a grade. You will get the learners who are below you. How do you
Yes.
deal with it and have emotional quotient that will be able to trick you so that you can be prepared to go forward? You need to know that as a human being, you are not a robot. You are bound to make mistakes here and there. You are bound to have people who are going to say negatives about you. However, the strength that is needed for you to go forward is within you. What is your plan of going forward? What is it that you would like to do? If indeed it is overbearing, there is a life orientation educator or an educational psychologist in some schools that you can go and talk to. Because the most important thing is to know that your self-esteem is not defined by an once-off activity. And you need now to come up with plans that you will communicate with your life orientation educator to say, how do I go forward here? How do I wake up in the morning and have positive affirmations from me, about me, inside me, so that I can really show them out there that I am going forward.
Well, thank you so much, Prof, for your time. It's very clear then how the education department itself needs to invest in psychological treatment for both teachers and their pupils, especially during this time of the year. Thank you for speaking to us this afternoon. That was Professor Ramodungoane Tabane from Unisa.